For years, Jamie Dornan and Amelia Warner were considered one of Hollywood's most quietly stable couples. While others flaunted their love across red carpets and tabloids, Jamie and Amelia stayed grounded, private, steady, unshaken by the noise of fame. They seemed unbreakable, but now, everything the world thought it knew about their marriage has changed. After months of speculation, whispers, and subtle signs that something was wrong, Jamie Dornan has finally broken his silence. And his words are heartbreaking. It began with a recent interview, one that was supposed to promote his upcoming film, but instead turned into something far more personal. The host asked a simple question: how do you balance family and fame after all these years? Jamie paused. For a moment, the charming smile that fans knew so well disappeared. He looked down, then exhaled slowly before replying, "I've been pretending everything's fine for too long. It's not." The interviewer froze. The room fell silent. It was the first time Jamie had publicly acknowledged the rumors, the whispers of a collapsing marriage that had followed him for months. For so long, he had deflected questions about Amelia with practiced warmth, always painting a picture of quiet domestic bliss. But this time, the mask slipped. And what came after was raw honesty. Jamie continued, "Marriage isn't a fairy tale. It's hard work, and sometimes, even when you give everything, it still starts to fall apart." Those words echoed across headlines within hours. Fans who had long admired the couple were stunned. For months, people had noticed that Jamie and Amelia were rarely seen together. She had stopped accompanying him to premieres, and eagle-eyed followers spotted that he'd been photographed without his wedding ring on several occasions. Still, no one wanted to believe the rumors. But now, it was no longer speculation, it was confession. Behind the scenes, insiders had already been whispering about the cracks in their relationship. Long filming schedules had kept Jamie away for months at a time. Amelia, devoted to their 3 children, had shouldered the weight of parenting alone while maintaining her music career. The emotional distance had slowly grown, not through arguments or betrayal, but through silence, the quiet kind that builds up when 2 people simply stop connecting. Jamie adores Amelia, one close friend shared. But they've both changed so much. The fame, the pressure, the distance, it's taken its toll. They're trying to figure out who they are now, apart from each other. Those who know Jamie best say that this interview wasn't planned. He hadn't intended to talk about his marriage at all. But the question struck something deep inside him, a truth he could no longer hide. He spoke softly, choosing his words carefully. "You spend years building something you think will last forever. You protect it, you fight for it, but sometimes, you wake up one day and realize you're just coexisting. You're not really living together anymore, just next to each other." It wasn't anger. It wasn't regret. It was sorrow. The kind that comes from realizing that love alone isn't always enough. For Amelia, friends say the past year has been equally difficult. She's kept her silence, refusing to feed the gossip. Instead, she's focused on her children and her work. One source close to her said, "Amelia's heartbroken, but she's not angry. She's known for a while that things weren't the same. They still care about each other deeply, but sometimes, caring isn't the same as being in love." That quote mirrors what Jamie later confessed during the same interview. "We're 2 good people who tried. That's the truth, we tried." The admission sent shockwaves through the industry. Reporters scrambled to confirm whether the couple had officially separated, while fans flooded social media with messages of support. "Jamie's honesty makes me respect him even more," one user wrote. "It takes courage to admit when something isn't working." And courage, it seems, is exactly what Jamie is learning to lean on. By the end of the interview, the actor offered one final reflection, simple, but painfully human. "It's strange," he said quietly. "You can stand in front of millions of people and feel less alone than you do at home sometimes." The interviewer didn't press him further. There was no need. The pain in Jamie's eyes said everything. As the cameras cut, Jamie sat back in his chair, almost relieved, as if years of silence had finally lifted from his chest. For the first time, the rumors were no longer rumors. They were real. And as Hollywood buzzed with shock, one question lingered in everyone's mind. What really happened to the marriage that once seemed untouchable? Because Jamie Dornan's confession was only the beginning, and the truth behind it is far more complex than anyone imagined, the headlines hit like a storm. Jamie Dornan admits marriage is falling apart. Dornan's emotional confession shocks Hollywood. But behind those bold letters was a story much quieter, much sadder, and infinitely more human. In the days after his confession, Jamie stayed silent. No clarifications, no denials, just silence. He didn't need to explain himself. The truth was already out there, raw and unfiltered. Friends say that after the interview, Jamie retreated to his home in Northern Ireland, away from cameras and city noise. He needed space, one close source shared. He wanted to breathe, to think, to face the reality he'd been avoiding for too long. That reality was this: his marriage to Amelia Warner, the woman who had stood by him for over a decade, the mother of his 3 daughters, was no longer what it once was. It hadn't broken overnight. It had faded, slowly, quietly, the way light dims before darkness fully sets in. Jamie had spent years trying to convince himself that everything was fine. He attended events, smiled for cameras, and repeated the same reassuring words: "Amelia's my rock." But in private, he was crumbling. The long absences on set, the emotional exhaustion of fame, and the pressure of being Hollywood's perfect man, had left him drained, not just as an actor, but as a husband. During one emotional moment in the interview that wasn't aired but later confirmed by a producer, Jamie reportedly said, "I love her. I probably always will, but I don't know if love is enough anymore." Those words reveal everything: not bitterness, not anger, but grief. Amelia, too, had felt it. While Jamie was flying across the world for film shoots, she was home raising their children, managing her music career, and carrying the emotional weight of distance. "She's incredibly strong," a family friend said, "but even strength has limits." She missed him, but she also missed them, the couple they used to be. Insiders say the couple had tried to save their relationship for years. They went through therapy, spent long breaks together in the countryside, even avoided the Hollywood spotlight to protect what was left. But sometimes, no matter how much love there is, the rhythm just changes. Jamie and Amelia were never dramatic, the source continued. There wasn't a big fight, no betrayal, no scandal. It was 2 good people realizing that they'd grown apart. They're not angry, they're just sad. That sadness showed in Jamie's next public appearance. He looked tired, thinner, more introspective. During a film panel, a journalist asked him if he believed in forever love. He smiled faintly before replying, "I believe in love that changes. Sometimes it lasts, sometimes it doesn't. But if it's real, it leaves something with you forever." The audience applauded, but those who understood the context felt the weight of his words. Then, days later, came the most heartbreaking detail: Amelia's quiet response. She didn't release a statement. She didn't post on social media. Instead, in a rare interview promoting her new music project, she was asked gently about the rumors surrounding her marriage. She hesitated, then smiled softly. "Love is complicated," she said. "Sometimes 2 people walk the same road for a long time, and then life asks them to take different paths. That doesn't mean the journey was wrong, it means it mattered." Her grace stunned everyone. There was no blame, no bitterness. Just quiet acceptance. Jamie, upon hearing her comment, reportedly broke down in tears. According to a friend, he said she's still the most incredible person he's ever known. He just wishes things had turned out differently. In private, he's been spending more time with their daughters, determined to stay present as a father even as he and Amelia figure out their new normal. Those who have seen him describe a man humbled, one who finally understands that success can't fix loneliness and fame can't replace peace. He's also channeling that pain into his art. In a recent podcast, when asked if heartbreak influences his performances, Jamie replied quietly, Pain makes you honest. And honesty makes you better, as a person, as an artist, as a man. That statement seemed to mark a turning point, not just in his career, but in his healing. Hollywood has seen its fair share of messy breakups, but Jamie Dornan and Amelia Warner's story stands apart, not because it's scandalous, but because it's human. Two people who loved deeply, grew together, and, eventually, grew apart, without hate, without noise. Just truth. And in his final comment during that fateful interview, Jamie left the world with a line that felt like both a farewell and a beginning. "It's not the end of love," he said softly. "It's the beginning of honesty." Fans around the world flooded social media with messages of empathy. One post captured it best. Jamie Dornan just reminded us that heartbreak doesn't always look like destruction. Sometimes, it looks like two people letting go with love still in their hearts. Maybe that's the real story here, not of a marriage collapsing, but of two souls learning that sometimes, letting go is its own kind of forever.